Welcome back, and there's some latest news coming in. The Kremlin has warned the United States on Tuesday that an unexpected visit to Taiwan by U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi would put it on a collision course with China and provoke tensions in the region. That's the warning coming in. Joining us on the broadcast is our managing editor, Zaka Jacob. Zaka, this only seems to escalate.
Clearly, as far as the rhetoric is concerned, yes, there has been heightened rhetoric both from China as well as, of course, the United States. Nancy Pelosi is right now on a flight. It is taken off from Kuala Lumpur a few hours ago, expected to land in Taipei at about 6:30. But there is no confirmation from anyone as to where that flight is headed. It could likely land in Taipei. Preparations are being made on the ground there, and Beijing has already warned that if they were to undertake this kind of a visit, it would be an open provocation against the One China policy, which all countries have adhered to, including the United States. Now, Russia, I think, is just trying to use this opportunity because remember earlier this year when Putin started the war in Ukraine, there was a lot of lecturing and a lot of rhetoric that came in from NATO and from the United States in particular. So this time around, I think Russia is just using this opportunity to try and get back at the U.S. I don't think the situation will come to such a pass where, the Russians would get militarily involved, if at all. Some kind of a flare-up, a military flare-up were to happen between China and the United States over Taiwan.
All right, Zaka, please continue to stay with us on the broadcast. We're also getting some more visuals, some more latest news coming in. This is the latest footage circulating on Chinese social media shows. The armored vehicles on the move in southern Chinese city of Xiamen as U.S. Speaker Pelosi is reportedly heading to Taipei, as Zaka was pointing out. Zaka, once again coming to you. It looks like that at least in the political rhetoric, in the narrative, this is likely to further escalate between China and U.S.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this footage is while those armored personnel carriers and tanks are making their way around the beaches of Xiamen, you can see tourists there. You can see people all around, who are in their swim gear. So clearly there is some amount of mind games going on as far as China is concerned. We have seen pictures in Chinese social media, both from Xiamen as well as from Fujian. Both of these are the southern cities which are closest to the Taipei coast. In fact, from Xiamen, I think Taiwan would be less than 50 kilometers by sea. So clearly, there's a lot of mind games that's going on as far as the Chinese propaganda machine is concerned. But like I said, ultimately it has to boil down to we don't know if Pelosi is going to land there. Yeah. If she does, then will the Chinese, escalate from just these mind games and, these images of tanks and APVs, or will they actually militarily, climb the escalation ladder and physically attack Taiwan while she's there? Especially given the misadventure that Russia had with Ukraine, particularly in the first few weeks of the war, where we saw a lot of these Russian tanks and convoys getting stuck for kilometers, Russia not being able to overpower Kiev. I doubt if the Chinese would make the same mistakes that Russia has made. So I think the Chinese would be very circumspect. Yes, you will see a lot of rhetoric. You will see a lot of, heightened statements coming in from Mofa in Beijing, maybe even from Xi Jinping himself. But I highly doubt if they will actually cross that Rubicon and actually militarily engage in an operation against Taiwan. Because if they do, then the United States is treaty bound to help Taiwan defend itself. So that means supplying weapons, that means sending in their aircraft carriers, sending in fighter jets, the works. I mean, the U.S. will have to get involved if a war were to break out between China and Taiwan in a way that it hasn't in the Ukraine war. I wouldn't even put boots on the ground far away from a plausible option if there were to be a direct confrontation between Taiwan and China.
Zaka, I just go back to the point that you were earlier making about the Chinese propaganda machine and how clearly it has become very, very active ahead of the anticipated visit of Pelosi, and how we are likely to see more of it.
Oh, absolutely, because, I mean, we saw this in the Ukraine war as well. You had these sort of state-directed pictures that were coming in from state media in Russia, showing, tanks of columns of tanks, showing, armored personnel carriers, basically trying to convey the image that here is this big military power that's going to overwhelm a smaller one. And then you had, in Ukraine, everyone from President Zelensky downwards using social media and sort of engaging in guerrilla warfare, if you will. But those mind games worked. it finally, paid off because Russia was not able to overpower a smaller country. The Ukrainians, dug in, they trenched in, and today the results are there for everyone to see. Yes, they may end up losing Donbass, but that is a rather small price to pay rather than losing the entire country, which they could have, and which is what Russia perhaps had in mind when it initially invaded. Right now, like I said, I mean, the thing about the pictures on the right is that these are, again, on social media in China. And as you know, China is famously closed to social media that the rest of the world follows or is on, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or other popular social media. So they have their own versions in Weibo and WeChat and so on. So we can't independently, there's no way anybody sitting outside of China can independently verify whether this footage is accurate. But I think it's also rather amusing that you have the tanks going on the one side of the beach, and then you have all of these hordes of tourists and Chinese citizens who are there for a holiday. And Xiamen is a very popular holiday destination for Chinese nationals.
It is amusing. Zaka, please stay with us on the broadcast. There's some more news coming in.